Okay, great. So we're going to start now with the next panel, which is about immersive experiences. And I'm just going to introduce Miki. Miki?
Digital software. Cool.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Does that work? Oop, there you go. I'm not very good at this. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here today, listening to all the talks. Brilliant to meet Kadine again, Damara in person, and Costas in person. So we're going to be talking about immersive experiences in art and fashion, and particularly through this metaverse NFT lens. So, hello, Miki from ArtSect here, another NFT gallery up the road. And I'll let all of the speakers introduce themselves and their passions and focus, not just their title, but what they're interested in and how they're going to shape digital fashion for the future. So, off to you, Costas.
Hey everyone, I'm Costas Kazantzis. I work as a creative technologist at the Fashion Innovation Agency. We're part of London College of Fashion. We are in an industry-facing team at the university, so we have a really exciting remit from the college, and that is to go out there and disrupt the fashion industry by bringing together proof-of-concept projects where we merge fashion brands together with technology partners, and we create these proof of concepts to showcase to the industry how they can implement digital practice to kind of revolutionize the way they have been doing things. We are very interested in looking into technology that is 3 to 5 years from implementation. So we don't look at something that is already commercialized, but we like to experience and experiment with the cutting edge. And me personally, I have a background which kind of merges computer science and engineering together with fashion media production. And I'm really interested in kind of articulating and identifying new ways of experiencing fashion, how we disseminate fashion in a way within hybrid worlds, within worlds that merge physical and digital practice. Lovely to be here amongst great speakers.
How do you follow that? Thrilled to be here today. Congratulations to Ashimi and Tina for bringing this together and making it happen. What an amazing experience this is to be a part of this conversation. I'm Kadine James. I'm the founder of the Immersive Kind, which is a 3D fashion and digital art collective. I'm also the co-founder of Maison DAO. I've spent the last 10 years working at the intersection of art, 3D printing, digital fashion, and emerging technologies. And I'm thrilled to be next to the high priestess of digital fashion, who I've had the pleasure of working really closely with when I was at Yahoo on the Electric City, with Pokemon and Charlie Cohen. And we've worked on loads of things since then. Really excited to be here today. I'm going to hand over to Damara.
Hey guys, my name is Damara Inglês. Kadine, thank you for this amazing introduction. My name is Damara Inglês. I'm a metaverse designer and strategist. My practice started from fashion design. Actually, I started with modeling, with the notion of performance. Then I studied fashion design in high school. Eventually, I evolved to costume design production and to styling, and eventually I landed in the degree of fashion media practice and criticism. And to that degree, I started analyzing the fashion industry through different lenses and realizing that there are a lot of problems in the industry that could easily be solved with technology. One of the biggest passions that I have in relation to my practice is the notion of intersectional digitization, which is basically making sense of my own identity as an African Black queer woman in the diaspora and in the metaverse. I think that it's very important that we don't become metaverse utopians and make the metaverse as inclusive as possible, right? The idea is that the metaverse is sort of an evolutionary step of our social interactions. So I'm very, very happy to be here today with amazing people that I've been working with for the past 2 years and I'm meeting for the first time. So thank you.
Amazing, exciting stuff. So leading from that, this evolutionary step that you spoke about and looking into the future with 5 years of technology, super, super exciting. So I think in the history, we're all of a similar generation observing the digital scene being born. So when we started back in the day in MySpace, Facebook, these early platforms, and now we're coming into a space where the content creator or the influencer is using these fractal platforms, Snapchat, YouTube, everything, you have everything, and shaping your identity in fashion and dissolving hierarchies that existed in fashion. So maybe talk about the new technologies, platforms, and how you've used them to shape this new identity that you're forming.
Well, for me, on a very personal level, I think that just to speak about the evolution of technology and being a digital native, the first time I Googled something, I was 7 years old, and I realized that my teacher didn't know anything about nothing, right? So my brain completely exploded, and I became fascinated about this new layer of realities and opinions. I had a similar sensation in the first time that I worked with the Google Tilt Brush. That is basically a tool that it's in VR, and you sort of sculpt by hand / design. It's like you make 3D hand drawings or sculptures. And it was the first time that I always say I came out of the closet as a fashion tech cyborg, because it was the first time that I saw my work, my body working with the computer, and I saw my body as a tool of technology as well. And being immersed in that VR environment, obviously, and if anyone has been in Google Tilt Brush, you have no feet when you're there, right? You only have your hands. And instantly, the whole notion of my body changed, and I was taken into that space. And I think that that's the amazing sort of emancipatory value of this kind of technologies, is that they also allow us to perceive ourselves in a different way, in a more abstract way, right? I realized that my brain is like a snail, and anything is a shell. Anything can become a body. So when we start to realize that these immersive tools are so close to us, we also start thinking, how can we make ourselves feel more comfortable, feel more secure, and how can we start developing strategies and formulas to make these spaces as inclusive as possible. For me, Snapchat is a partner. I'm an official lens creator for Snapchat, and it's my go-to tool when it comes to disseminating, my perspective in digital fashion, especially because the main goal for me when it comes to digital fashion is that, I have a client, I make a piece, and then anyone in the world can wear that piece at free cost. That's my personal value in relation to digital fashion.
Yeah, and just to add to what Damara was saying, and I'm pretty sure you are aware of that, through your amazing work within Snapchat, but I think it also kind of designing garments like that and pipelines and interactive kind of experiences, the relationship between the brand and the consumer is kind of changed in a way, because the consumer is not a passive kind of viewer of the content, but an active part in the narration of fashion imagery, because the brand can provide them with a template where they can manipulate that garment, add effects on top of it. So there's many extended layers to how we express ourselves by interacting with this technology, and to me that is extremely inspiring, and the creative potential to that is kind of limitless in a way, the possibilities of creation within these tools.
Yeah, I echo that, and just following on from what you're mentioning, Costas, I've been really fortunate to get to be quite hands-on with virtual production and motion capture. And back in 2018, I worked at the Royal Academy of Art with the team at Factum Foundation, where we used the Veronica scanner to digitally capture hundreds of people. I was also really fortunate to get myself digitally scanned and have my 3D face captured. I've since then gone on to, put myself in motion capture technologies and suits, whereby we've been able to then dress me in digital fashion, and I've had the privilege of working with Gravity Sketch recently on some really cool projects, and really looking at ways that we can use these digital tools and applications to reimagine how we can experience fashion in virtual worlds and spaces. On top of that, I also got to work with the pop star Nina Nesbitt last last May for the Metaverse Festival in Decentraland, where we took Nina into our motion capture studio and 3D scanned her and then dressed her and tagged her into a Ready Player Me avatar. We put her in Ferocious sneakers, and we also dressed her in Artifacts collection before they sold to Nike for apparently $1 billion. But yeah, I've been, involved in a number of these projects with some really big brands, and I've also had the experience of wearing these technologies and using them in my practice. Augmented reality is a big thing for Damara and I. We've created collections together. We did the Kaleido Drip collection with Selfridges and Charlie Cohen recently. And I'm always looking at new ways that I can use the technology to tell the story of how I want to express myself in fashion and become other and expand my body and become something that I wouldn't necessarily be able to be in the real world. So I think the technology is allowing us to evolve and tell the story of fashion. And then there's also a huge opportunity for sustainability as well, which I think we also need to be thinking much more about too.
Mm-hmm. Agree. So this wasn't on the list, actually. We just made me think about it. So when we look at this content creator, a smaller than a bigger brand, and then the bigger brands coming into Web3, I'm super Web3 native, particular, and have lots of those DAO philosophies. And how, I suppose, are you thinking about or navigating our responsibility with identity? So if brands historically create identities and roll them out through their seasonal waves, and we adopt these through mass media, and then this is getting scaled down, and now smaller content creators, as you said, you're shaping your identity as a modern African intersectional woman, and how are you navigating your creations for your consumers, because they are looking up to you as an idol? And then how are you navigating this with the brands that, as a Web3 person, I'd say they might want to coerce this? So we do lots of work in the queer music space as well in our Hackney Gallery, and I'm always very defensive of brands personally. So yeah, how are we navigating that responsibility, and where you'd like that to get to for your audience?
Well, I think, wow, it's a very complex question. I think that fashion brands want things to stay as they are because they have profit, they make money, they, low-key don't care. And for them, digital fashion is sort of another tool, right? An extension of what they already do. It's like a hobby, a souvenir. It's something that they give, and it's something that they feel that it's like a wave, right? Because digital fashion will never outlive analog fashion or physical fashion. We will always have to dress each other. I'm quite disappointed that when it comes to digitizing their brands and their identities, these major brands always speak to, express the sort of Western-centric identity, and they always choose to replicate exactly what they are already doing, which I think it's a little bit boring, right? And if they would actually collaborate with artists and creatives in this space that come from different cultural and personal backgrounds and different cognitive backgrounds, then how exciting would it be if instead of just releasing a pair of sneakers, digital sneakers, Gucci would release a pair of digital sneakers that had a voice, that spoke about the story of refugees that walked from there to here. How much more poetic would it be to add this sort of layer of storytelling to fashion? And for me, that's the beauty of digital fashion. It's not replicating physical fashion, it's imagining digital fashion as a new space, as a space of protest as well, in relation to what is happening in physical fashion. For me, the notion of intersectional digitization came when I started studying ethnomathematics. And I realized that all mathematics is ethnomathematics, right? Like ethnicity, different groups, different cultures have different ways of perceiving mathematics. So mathematics is a tool, but then according to your culture, you express it in a different way. And I was looking at the mathematical techniques of tribes from Angola, like the Imba, the Mukubais, etc. And it made me realize, wait, so if mathematics is a tool, then immersive technologies are also a tool. And why am I expressing immersive technologies through the lens of Western centrism? Why do I not express it as a tool, right, as something that I can weaponize to sort of expand my own notion of cultural expression? And that's where it becomes very important to me, because if you look at digital fashion, there's already a very specific aesthetic to it, right? There's already a very specific look to it. So I'm very excited to be part of this generation of digital fashion creatives like Stephanie Fang, for example, that also expresses a lot of her cultural background, or Loquai, that creates these beautiful and emotional bodies of color. Because if we are some of the first people to step, to put our flag in this new moon, then we might as well make it ours.
Do you want to jump in, anyone? Or that was amazing.
I don't know how you can follow
Sorry,
that.
guys.
That was
Yeah.
just, I'm
Wow, thank
speechless.
you.
And as
Thank you
always, you're
very
just
much.
such an inspiration. I think the opportunity for brands is huge, actually. I think digital ID is going to be, ever more present in terms of NFTs, digital goods, digital assets, being able to own those digital assets and wear them, and the interoperability piece, which the team at Gravity Sketch are pioneering and doing such a stellar job at. I want to be able to take my garments into Roblox. I want to be able to wear them in Decentraland. I want to be able to wear them across the metaverse. And I think that the opportunity for Burberry, for Gucci, for all of the big brands to be able to create new ways to engage with their next generation of fans and audiences at scale, and the 3 billion gamers around the world that are hanging out in these virtual worlds and spaces is huge. I also think the opportunity to track your products and to be able to see where they're going, and also to have the opportunity to have those conversations with your customers is a really valuable one. So I think digital goods, digital assets, NFTs, and owning them, and the opportunity to have a digital passport, along with being able to store your assets, is the future.
Yeah, and adding to what you, Kadine, said, and Damara as well, I think that we have every power to make the metaverse be an inclusive space. Like, imagine the fact that metaverse experiences are very easily streamable across to any number of end users. So many more people have the opportunity to be part of the international fashion landscape and influence how this is set up in a way, whereas traditionally, for example, the traditional fashion show is an event that is only accessible to very few people. So these kinds of models, that bridge the digital with the physical practice, allow fashion to be more inclusive in a way.
Absolutely, and I just wanted to add to that, we were really lucky to work with you guys on the Fabric of Reality, which was the first virtual reality fashion catwalk experience where anyone from around the world could come in and be on the front row. I'm also doing something on Monday with the British Fashion Council and the designer Colin Horgan, where we're hosting his collection inside my gallery in Spatial, which is a virtual metaverse space. So the opportunity for people to be able to bring their collections into these virtual worlds and spaces, bring the press in, bring the fashion community in, I think is really significant, and I'm really excited about that.
Absolutely, and in terms of the fabric of reality that was mentioned, I think that this was like the first proof that we had that fashion is much more about the storytelling, the values and visions behind the product and not just the product. Because what we did for that project is that we brought together pairs of fashion designers together with XR artists, and they created these portals, like Damara had one of the amazing portals there, where, the vision and the values behind that product were articulated within there, because when working with game engine technology, again, you have the power to utilize different elements like spatial sound, 3D graphics, video, all of that. So a multi-sensory experience was created, which was so much more than just about the product in a way.
Absolutely, and I think that multi-sensory experience is really significant. We took over the billboards in central London during Metaverse Pride, so we linked up with the biggest screen in Europe inside the metaverse in Decentraland and also in Spatial. So I'm really interested in this kind of concept for connecting cities and people and places, and being able to tag that to augmented reality, and people to be able to express and experience digital fashion in cities and in virtual spaces, I think is really exciting.
Yes, I just want to add that another amazing point of the fabric of reality is that, again, we cannot be metaverse utopians, and most people don't have access to VR headsets, etc., etc. So we had the entire virtual reality experience that was amazing. The experience was also live streamed in different streaming websites. Then we also created augmented reality versions of the garments that our audience could wear. For my specific piece, Symbiotic Wear, we ended up transforming our track into a Spotify song, for example, and then we had all of these GIFs scattered along the internet. And the idea is that from one single project, you can take so many different utilities, and that's where you see that the medium is sort of what guides the message to different audiences, because not everyone wants to engage with the AR, not everyone has Spotify, not everyone, you know, is on Instagram wearing that filter. So how can we bring all of these people together so that they are able to feel the same experience but from different points?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you tend to hear that the metaverse is only about virtualizing and digitizing things, and to some extent it for sure is about that. But I think it's so much more about like connecting us in ways that we wouldn't be connected before. And this was something that we saw like with the Fabric of Reality, which was hosted, like we hosted a live event during the pandemic where people could like immerse themselves into the experience and actually interact and hear Damara and the rest of the designers talk about their work. So we kind of had like kind of a social event during a time that it was impossible to meet with each other. And doing some social research on the side, like we realized again, these new models of expression, many people that were kind of introverts in real life were able to express themselves much more easily within like an avatar scenario and kind of add extended layers of digital effects on top of their identities and vice versa.
Amazing. So I'm just like soaking all of this up, like wow, learning. I'm going to scrap the tech questions because I think this is really, really deep, so may as well go further into this actually for the last, I think we've got 8 minutes, unless anyone's got any questions on the last few, but I think just quickly onto, just further into this identity and shaping this new thing, so I think it's very, very interesting. It came up on a few other talks as well, so personally, for me, so let's go into inspirations behind the philosophy behind emanating this new identity, if that makes any sense. But for me, there was, I think a few people at the back of the room might know about this one. There was a Moloch DAO white paper that the Bitcoin people made, the DAO people. That was a very interesting white paper that inspired me personally. And then there's another Web3 paper called the Cyber Witch Manifesto that showed the intersection of what they called techno shamans, these kind of Bitcoin bro people, eco-feminists and cyber-feminists, and the intersection of these three passions were technological emancipation, politics, and spirituality. So we're all linking up on new ways to express our inner selves and show this to other people, etc. So is there any like inspiring papers, people, ideas that led you to fight so hard to shape your identity for other people in the space?
I guess like to me in more general terms, what I'm super interested about is like, for example, digital products. We tended to associate digital product that digital product can only exist within video games. And what is happening now, and getting back to your question about identity and how it's kind of becoming extended, augmented, distorted, we lose the sense of like the physical because we kind of dress ourselves and we express ourselves with many, many layers of immaterial. So we kind of exist in the immaterial in the way that we interact with digital tools and mediums. So again, what is happening is, like I was saying before, we tend to associate digital product only exists in video games. However, the tools that were initially created for the video gaming industry, like game engine technology, Unity and Unreal, were initially developed for people to design video games. However, these tools are now being used to generate fashion experiences, art experiences, Web3 experiences. So this kind of raises the question, like more or less all of us are kind of becoming part of gamified experiences. And in that context, I think it's ever more relevant to discuss how we interact with digital product and how we decide to immaterially kind of add layers to our own identities, I guess.
Yeah, I also, I've been dressing myself up in digital fashion for many years now, and I've been really lucky to work with some of the true pioneers in the space. I have to really think about Ouroboros. I have to think about identity. I know that they're here. The work that they're doing is absolutely stunning. If you've not seen their collections, follow them. They're doing incredible things. I think like this opportunity to wear digital fashion by the best digital fashion houses is a really exciting one. And I'm really inspired to continue to express myself by collaborating and getting opportunities to work with the best 3D fashion designers in the space. I love what Identity have been doing, particularly around digital fashion. I also love what Tribute Band have been doing. I think, you know, there's just so much to explore, and we're just on the very cusp of it at the moment. For me, fashion is about expression, and if there's new ways for us to experience it and explore it through the wonder and magic of technology, I think that's incredibly exciting, and I'm looking forward to doing much more of it this year.
Yes. Oh my God, the question was kind of, can you repeat a little bit of the question? I'm kind of...
It was deep for a second. But your philosophical inspirations. Why on this Cyber Witch manifesto that really affected the way...
Okay, well, for me, definitely, I think it's Donna Haraway. I don't want to sound like, I don't know. Yeah, Haraway. The Cyborg Manifesto was definitely a paper that influenced me a lot and made me understand that, I mean, supposedly the first technology was even the fire. So if you see how we interact and how we adapt and how we immerse ourselves in technologies, you know, the fire feels like something. I mean, the fire is natural, but the use and control of fire is not. So if we think about how we're going to be interacting with digital technologies 100 years from now, and how we'll be controlling them, and how easy we'll be accessing them, then it's just completely blew my mind. Another book was The Digital Life of Social Avatars. No, The Social Life of Digital Avatars. And one of the sections was about protest and how, you know, in certain gaming environments, then avatars protest for their rights in their gaming space. There are gaming spaces that are extremely homophobic, and then you have, you know, the avatars complaining there, why does my avatar has to be femme to be with the masculine avatar, you know, and kissing their masculine avatar. So it really made me think that, wow, some people really take this seriously. And if they do, it means that 50 years from now, we all will be taking this very seriously. So we might as well make this space a space that is safe. We don't want to burn witches again, right? We don't want to echo all the layers of segregation. So that's what really made me think, wow, we really need to catch this space and make this sort of a soft space to land so that people are able to express themselves. And another book was the Xeno-Feminist Manifesto by Laboria Kubonix. Oh my God, it's absolutely amazing. I'm still wrapping my head around it until this day. But it's a beautiful manifesto about, you know, how under capitalism, everybody is alienated. So how can we use technology to sort of make people feel more comfortable? How can we use technology to support each other? And it's not even just about self-expression in social media. It's even about using drones to send pills from South Korea to North Korea so that women have control of how many children they have. So we're talking about not just, you know, the decor of our interaction with technology and how we look in technological spaces, but we're talking about the essence and core of our interhuman interactions that are now more and more mediated through technology.
Wow. Okay, I think it's time to leave it there at that very passionate speech.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much, guys.
Amazing, so fascinating. Thank you so much. We're going to take a 15-minute break before the next panel starts at 2:15 about sustainability. So see you in 15 minutes.